So good afternoon and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us in this webinar on leadership. You know, there's a lot of things out there now, whether it's webinars or courses or programs on leadership. So today I am in my role of representing Management Learning and Culture, and we're going to share our take on leadership. And throughout the session, we're also going to introduce you to the concept of micromastery, a very new and unique and exciting learning methodology that MLNC are the pioneers on. Micromastery is about accelerating the learning into doing. So we'll take that opportunity to share with you a micromastery towards the end of the session. So let's just start with our little take on leadership and where we are in the world at the moment. Exceptional leaders create outstanding teams. Outstanding teams create the culture. And just take a moment to think about that. Exceptional leaders create outstanding teams. Outstanding teams create the culture. And I was just having a conversation with Sue prior to starting, and we think this is so relevant in business at the moment. But not only in business, in schools, in colleges, in sports teams, it's everywhere. An exceptional leader creates an outstanding team. If you've got an outstanding team, you will create the culture that you desire and need to have for your business to be sustainable and successful. So just a little bit about Management Learning and Culture. They've got 18 years experience and they've got a proven track record in management learning and culture. From my own personal point of view, I've got 40 years experience in pharmaceutical, leadership, people development, strategy and facilitation. And the whole thing about people development, I live and breathe it. I've also got experience, lots of experience in youth football coaching and leadership. So I'm in the privileged position of being able to do it for my social life and in business. So I've learned a lot about leadership on the way, and this is an opportunity to share with you some of our insights. So at the very least today, we see this as your permission to pause and recognise your leadership attributes and the growth and development opportunities you have. At MLNC, we're in a privileged position that we'll be able to work with loads of different organisations and different industries, and we're getting that chance to learn about the new experiences, the new challenges, the new opportunities in this new world. So just to start off, it's not going to be just about us just talking all the time, and we're going to make it interactive and participative. And here's your first question. I would encourage you to have some note paper to make your own notes. And then once you've had a little reflection on it, can you pop it into the chat box so Sue can share with me? Exceptional leaders and why? Who would you immediately think has been an exceptional leader and why? So from my perspective, you'll see that we've got a picture of Sir Alex Ferguson on there. Sir Alex Ferguson has been a huge influence on my growing up, being a young lad from Aberdeen when he was the manager of Aberdeen, and then watching them taking Scottish football and then with Manchester United. For me, he is my hero as an exceptional leader. But who are your exceptional leaders? So think about it from history or current affairs, anyone that's impressed you or you would immediately say, here are some exceptional leaders. So I'll just give you a couple of minutes to think about that, and then if you could maybe just put some of your ideas in chat so we can get an understanding of who you're thinking of and who resonates with you as being an exceptional leader. Have you got anything appear in the chat, Sue?
We've got a couple. If people could put their answers in the questions box, that would be helpful. We've got Barack Obama so far.
Okay. Yeah. Any others?
Quite a lot of sports people coming through as well. So Alex Ferguson obviously has sort of resonated with others.
Yeah. Okay. So this exercise is very much a permission to pause. Who is an exceptional leader? And you'll note the term that we're using, exceptional. It's not average, it's not mediocre. In the world that we're in at the moment, we need to be able to strive to having exceptional leaders.
We've got Her Majesty the Queen come through.
Excellent.
Jürgen Klopp.
Okay.
Pramukh Swami Maharaja is a spiritual leader. Michelle Obama.
Okay.
Tim Cook, Bill Gates, Elon Musk. So there's some great ones there.
Okay. So this is a little exercise that you can take to use with yourself as a self-reflection afterwards, or share it and ask it with other people in your teams and your business. But the starting point is, who are some exceptional leaders and why? So with this, move that on slightly. If we're talking that term exceptional, then you will have some reasons why you've got Klopp or Ferguson or the Queen or Barack Obama or whoever you've chosen. Now just take that permission to pause and think about you personally. What is exceptional about your leadership style? Exceptional, not average, not mediocre. Permission to pause. What is exceptional about your leadership style? And again, if you've got some thoughts, just pop some of these ideas into the question box, and Sue will feed back to me what some of the thoughts are. I do appreciate this might be a bit of a challenge. When I've done this with other people before, people have stopped and said, exceptional? Okay, but I'm not exceptional. It's got to be a vision, it's got to be an aspiration. And if you give yourself that feedback, then you get a recognition of clear strengths that you have as a leader. So be brave. What's exceptional about you?
Somebody is saying that they're involving, engaging, and inspiring.
Excellent.
They lead by example.
Great. Yes, certainly the engaging, inspiring, and leading by example. All good things to be considered as being an exceptional leader.
Humbleness.
Okay.
Somebody say that they listen and then act.
This is good. There's some good words being used here as we come and share what we see as our take and our vision for leadership. There's some great words being used here. Thank you.
Forward thinking and empowering, although they usually take a back seat to business pressures and the need to firefight.
Okay, that's an interesting concept that we'll come to and discuss soon.
The ability to go round to the other side of the table to understand how others see the world.
Excellent. Okay, so good that we're getting some interaction, participation, and at the very least that permission to pause and reflect. So now we've asked you, who do you see as being an exceptional leader and why? We've now asked you to consider what is it about your leadership style that makes you exceptional. The next part of the mini audit that we're going to give you is this. So if that's exceptional, what would make it even better? Where do you see now your opportunities for growth and development? You're an exceptional leader, but what may make it even better? Same thing, pop it into the question box and just get to hear some of your thoughts and your reflections.
Somebody has mentioned that they have strong values and show integrity. But again, they lead by example and join the workforce no matter how small the task.
Okay. Good, like that.
Got a list here that people care for the people, take care of their needs, show leadership, and protect the people from bad situations.
Okay. Good.
And
Anything?
another one about treating everybody in the team equally.
Good. A lot of good stuff coming out here. So just in the interest of time and so that we can work through this, what we've done is a very minimum, giving you a minimum audit to start to think about. Take that permission to pause. Who are the exceptional leaders and why? Why am I an exceptional leader? Recognize your own strengths and what would make me even better, because that is your opportunities to continue to grow and to develop. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for participating.
Yeah, we've got another, just a final one. It says it's the ability to let go, to focus on the sphere of influence and not get so frustrated when progress is not forthcoming.
Okay, like that explanation. Again, thank you very much for everyone who's participated, and that's a little exercise for you to take away and carry on with it at some point. What we will then do is build this up into a leadership audit for you to take away at the end of this day, as well as a micro mastery. Just an interesting question for you to consider, given some of the research that we're finding in the organisations that we're working with. Where does leadership start and stop in your organisation? I know that some people's view is that leadership is just about the senior leadership, those who are making the strategic decisions for the organisation. But there seems to be a growing trend that leadership doesn't stop anywhere in the organisation. Whoever's got the role and responsibility to carry out a task or achieve a goal, then the leadership happens there with them. It's an interesting question for you to take away and ponder when we talk about leadership. Where does it start and stop in your organisation? And I'd just like to share this quote with you, because the one that's always resonated with me before we go into looking at our leadership fundamentals and our own leadership audit. The pace of change will never be this slow again. I remember hearing this quote long before the pandemic happened, and I'm thinking that resonates with me now. But given what's happened in the world that we're in at the moment, it's just been unbelievable, the pace of change. And that stands a lot of people in good stead if you consider that. The pace of change will never be this slow again. So how do you prepare to be a leader and make sure that you are sustainable and successful in everything that you do? So what we're now going to do from MLNC point of view is that we're going to share with you our 3 leadership fundamentals, and then we're going to share with you what we see as our vision and view for the future as leadership, a mini audit with 9 points on it. So here we go. Leadership fundamental number 1, and this resonates a lot with what a lot of people were saying about being an exceptional leader. Fundamental number 1, you need to know and look after your people. Listen to them, understand the system that they operate in, create the right environment and give them the best work experience. So clearly some of the things that you were saying about being an exceptional leader, a lot of you are already doing these things. But if you think about that, leadership fundamental number 1, know and look after your people. Listen, understand, create the right environment. And if I'm working for you and I come away at the end of the day and I've had the best work experience possible, recognizing that there are good and bad days, but the majority of the time, if there are good days, then you as a leader is creating that environment for the best work experience. Number 2 is that you need to think about and plan for your future. Set clear direction, and on that way, recognize and celebrate success. We're finding that a lot of people at the moment are just coming to terms with everything that's changed within their business. The ones that we're seeing are getting that little competitive advantage and that step ahead are actually taking that time out to think about and plan for the future in the new world. So we see leadership fundamental 2 is that you need to set clear direction, think about and plan for your future. And leadership fundamental number 3 is to continue to invest in yourself, to continue to grow and develop and enjoy it. There are a lot of challenges in our world at the moment, and the term that we've come up with, it has to be fun and never a burden. So leadership fundamental number 3 for us is you as a leader, you need to continue to invest in yourself, continue to grow and develop, and enjoy the new learning opportunities ahead. Our world has changed forever. We will never get this opportunity again. here's a clear chance for you to take all those new skills, new attributes, new learning, and enjoy it and embrace it. So that's leadership 3 fundamentals. What we'd now like to do is then introduce you to our vision of what exceptional leaders need to be. So there are 9 points that we're about to share with you now. And what I'd strongly encourage is you again to write down these 9 points as they come to you. And then to think about, after this session, is to think about how does it compare? It's a benchmark for you, comparing it against MLNC's vision for exceptional leaders. How do you compare? And use it as a benchmark. So let's go ahead. Start with yourself. Benchmark number 1, start with yourself. Self-care has to be a discipline. We're seeing lots of research, a lot of press out there talking about the leader looking after themselves, and then saying that one of the bits, certainly from the CIPD research, is indicating that self-care has to be part of the process. So let's just have a little check-in and just have a look at this, just see how your self-care is today. If you're thinking about what you're doing today, what you're working on, how's your energy? Mark out of 10. Score out for mark for your energy. Mark out of 10. And then think about your openness as you're coming into the day and you've got all these things, open mind, you want to continue to learn, look at new different things. Give yourself a score out of 10 for your openness. And then think about your focus. When we're balancing so many different things, what's your focus? So what I'd invite you to do now, participation, is to mark out a 10 for energy, and your energy being, I'm really drained, I'm really tired, is 1 out of 10. Or you know what, I'm on top of my game, I'm ready to go, 10 out of 10. Your openness is, you're going to have to work really hard to convince me, or actually I'm coming in with an open mind and I'm prepared to learn and take on new things. Well, where's your focus? Are you completely focused on the topics that we're talking about at the moment? Or are you looking at your phone? Or are you on another screen? Are you talking to somebody else? Where's your focus? So if you could just take a minute or so, mark out a 10, and then multiply all 3 together. So whatever your score is for energy, times your score for openness, and times your score for focus. And then when you've done that, if you could just start to pop your scores into the questions box, and just see what some of the scores are coming back. Again, so if people start popping them in, if you could just let me know some of the scores.
We've got somebody on 1,000.
Brilliant. Great to hear. Any others?
Somebody else is on 96.
Okay. Okay, so with the range of 96 to 1,000.
Somebody else says it's got to be 1,000. Somebody else is on 320.
Okay. Okay, so this is just a little bit of a little tool for you to take away when you think about your work tomorrow and the day after and the day after. As a leader, you're expected to be on your A game every day. You're expected to be in the zone because your business and your people need you to be in that zone. For those of you who've scored 1,000, then clearly your energy, openness and focus is in the right place. For those of you who've scored less than 1,000, my challenge for you as a leader is, okay, so what can you do about it? So you're then thinking about your energy. Are you really tired? Didn't get enough sleep last night or whatever? Okay, how can I get more sleep? I've got too much things on. My focus is distracted. How can I get focused on the real required priorities? So start with yourself. Self-care has to be a discipline. Is it unreasonable to think as a leader every day your score should be 1,000? Is it unreasonable? So therefore, we're giving you a little tool to start off with to think about okay, how do I feel today? If my people expect me to be in my A game, in the zone, and the business does as well, if I'm not near 1,000, then why not? How can I get control of myself, self-care? And as we go through this session, we're going to introduce you to a micro mastery on self-care to help you with that. So audit point number 1 is start with yourself. Self-care has to be a discipline. Audit point number 2, personal leadership audit point number 2, is it's really key that you keep educating yourself. We're working with some leaders who, yeah, know all the answers, got all this, I know what to do. But we're also working with some leaders who are continuing to grow and develop and embracing all this change and seeing all new opportunities, not only to improve themselves, to improve their business. So, audit point number 2, key, keep educating yourself. What are you going to do to grow and develop? And I always remember a question that was asked of me, well, 2 questions actually. Mike, how are you better now than you were a year ago? As a leader in this organization, you have to be better. Good question. And then the next question that followed was, Mike, in a year's time, the business will have grown and changed and evolved and developed. What are you going to do to continue to grow and develop? As a leader, it's really important that you keep educating yourself. Number 3, get to know your people, truly engage and connect with them. So it was great to hear that some people are talking about the terms engagement and inspiration earlier on. This now it's always been important, but never more so. Organizations need to demystify and understand what engagement means to them. And I've always been a believer that emotional intelligence and psychological safety plays a key part. I've just finished reading a book. Here it is, High Performing Lessons from the Best on Becoming Your Best. Great chapter in here about emotional intelligence and psychological safety. So as a leader, do you truly get to engage and connect with your people, really get to know and understand them? Do you understand what engages them, what motivates them, what inspires them, what drives them in this new world? Sue and I were having a conversation earlier on about those who are working face-to-face and those who are working in a hybrid world. How engaged and connected are they really? But it doesn't change the fact, as you as a leader have to be able to have emotional intelligence and psychological safety with all your people. So number 3 we're seeing is get to know your people, truly engage and connect with them. And to build on that aspect, nothing is ever achieved in business without people. As a leader, we are seeing point number 4 is you need to invest and develop your people. What's your proven track record in developing people? Have you created that outstanding team? Have you created the individuals within that team that's helped them grow and be better? One of the key things I also remember about leadership is that whoever comes along next has to be better than you. What are you doing to evolve, grow, and develop your people? And take that time, that permission to pause and look at what is your track record? How are you investing in developing your people? Number 5, and it was again great to hear that people talking about this, be strategic and set clear direction. As an individual, if I'm working in your team, I'm coming into work and you've created that great and best at work experience for me. I'm engaged, I'm inspired, I'm working with you, but I also need to see the future. I also need to see, so you're giving me that sense of purpose and meaning, but I also need to see the future. So if you do not think about and plan for your future, you won't have one. So point number 5, be strategic and set clear direction. Number 6, be able to say hello and goodbye with equal amounts of enthusiasm. Be able to say hello and goodbye with equal amounts of enthusiasm. In this world where there's lots of organizations growing and thriving and are having to recruit people very quickly, onboarding has been seen as being a priority for a lot of organizations. And being able that if we want that person to join us, we can get them integrated and effective as quickly as possible. lots of organisations at the moment are seeing the real value of accelerating that learning into doing by onboarding very effectively. But what we're also seeing is that it's termed the Great Resignation. Lots of people leaving organisations. For you as a leader, I'm going to challenge you and say that you need to be equally good in onboarding, getting your people integrated and effective as quickly as possible as people leaving. And the reason for that is you will have a knowledge drain. What is the impact of you not capturing that information? What are you doing to stop the knowledge drain? When you're actually having then a conversation about capturing business intelligence with somebody leaving and plugging that knowledge drain, you're also getting that opportunity to improve your business. So listening to understand gives you that opportunity to improve your business. The way that somebody's maybe done it in the past, with you putting a different eye, different view in it, you may see other ways of doing it. And then, of course, if somebody is leaving the organisation, you're giving that feel-good factor for them, giving them that opportunity to leave with a sense of pride and with a contribution, which has got to be a good thing, rather than somebody leaving the organisation and thinking, well, that wasn't great. So my challenge for you, be able to say hello and goodbye with equal amount of enthusiasm. Capture and share business intelligence. There's lots of learning going on in your businesses at the moment. How do you capture it? And equally, if people are leaving, how do you capture it to prevent that knowledge drain? Now we're introducing you to the concept of micromastery, this emerging new exciting methodology. It's all about accelerating the learning into doing. We believe that we should never delay the learning. And if you've got powerful and impactful learning, there has to be a payoff. There has to be something in. What's in it for me? What will make me better? So if an organisation then says, okay, we can make very clear what the payoff is, we can give people an in to get started, and then we ensure that there's purposeful practice, which means that we're accelerating the learning from the in into the doing, which is the payoff. The purposeful practice is the trick in there. We will share with you a micromastery soon, but as a leader, you need to be making sure that you're accelerating learning into doing. As a leader, ask more questions, but you also need to be able to listen to understand. There's no point in asking questions if you're not going to listen to understand. And the reason we're saying is ask more questions. If you surround yourself with feedback, you can only get better. Think about that. Point number 8, ask more questions to surround yourself with feedback, and you can only get better. Point number 9, measure and recognise and celebrate success. If you do not celebrate success, you will have none. We were seeing lots of organisations just busy and going on to the next thing, and going on to the next thing, and going to the next thing. We're finding the organisations that are given that opportunity for their people to recognise and celebrate success is having an impact, a real positive impact, particularly in this period of change. So, if you've taken note all 9, here's the 9 that ML&C are the vision for the leadership. And if you remember, some of the things that you said at the beginning fit into here. But as a summary, our leadership order would be: number 1, make self-care a discipline, keep educating yourself, truly engage and connect with your people, develop your people, and of course, if you're developing the people, you're also developing your teams, developing that outstanding team. Be strategic. Be able to say hello and goodbye with equal amounts of enthusiasm. Accelerate the learning. The amount of volume and the amount of change is happening. Your people need to learn quicker than ever. Accelerate the learning. Surround yourself with feedback and celebrate success. So what we've provided for you now is a mini audit, what we see as our vision for the future. So we'll just give you just a couple of minutes just to reflect on that. And if anybody wants to pop any questions or anything in about the leadership audit, then please do so. And after a couple of minutes, we'll then share with you a micromastery. So any thoughts, any reflections on the leadership audit? So anything appearing, Sue? Any thoughts or reflections?
Not yet. I think people are still reflecting at the moment.
We're using this audit with a lot of organisations for them to use as a benchmark. As things are changing, evolving and developing, what do we need to develop our leaders in? Who do we need to develop our next set of leaders to be? And we're using this as a benchmark to identify the needs. So as opposed to just saying everyone's trained in everything, or everyone goes on a development program for everything, we're using this as a benchmark, which is proving to be really interesting and useful for organisations to identify their needs and decide where they're going to invest.
One of our attendees has said that they think it's really powerful stuff and it's really grounded in a real world reality.
Good to hear. Thank you for that. That is really pleasing to hear that it's grounded with reality. You know, there is a lot out there on leadership, but we strongly believe that, yeah, this is. Yeah, I like that term. I hadn't heard it used about to describe this, but I do like it. Thank you very much.
Somebody else has said that they really like the idea of the audit, but sometimes the day-to-day busyness gets in the way of actually being able to take time, take stock, and then reflect.
We're hearing a lot of that. The world's getting busier than ever. Everybody now coming out of the pandemic with all new ways of working, everybody wants to do everything. We believe that this is the high priority time to invest in people, because if everything goes on too quickly, loss of learning will be happening and people need that help and support. We can help organisations with the implementation of the audit.
So another of the attendees has said so many organisations are looking for the next big thing when the answers are much closer to home. Core principles will out.
Yeah, I agree with that as well, that we are thought, what's next? What's next? Well, actually, what has changed in leadership? And so a lot of the fundamentals that we've just talked about and put into this leadership audit have been here for years. And if you talk and just think about Alex Ferguson, a lot of these he will have been doing 20, 30 years ago. They're still as relevant now. That's why we call them at the beginning leadership fundamentals. It's just about how you apply them in the new and a different world.
Then another comment is about how you go about taking people with you to enable you to develop your people and your team, and to be able to say hello and goodbye with those equal amounts of enthusiasm when you get barriers put up from some of your employees.
Yeah, I think that is, and then grounded in reality, there are barriers. But we're working with some organisations to look at, okay, how good is your onboard and how good is the engagement from that point of view, and then look at it from the other end as well. So we're working with organisations to really try to listen to understand. We pride ourselves in listening to understand and then trying to be able to work with them to find the inspiring and best solution for them. Okay.
And somebody has suggested a 10th for your leadership audit. To give yourselves and your people permission to pause and reflect.
Like it. I'm a great believer in the permission to pause. I am a great believer in accelerating, learning into doing and go. but sometimes you have to stop and take that back.
And then another comment is, do you have any positive examples of companies using this for those working as home, as you do not have the interaction?
We've got some real positive examples of working with organisations and working with leaders over Zoom and taking them through this. Well, what's the difference? How does it work? How does it operate? And it's then helping them get into, for example, how do they engage and connect with their people now? With some of them are working in the office, some of them working at home, and some of them have got a mix. So yes, we have got some good case studies to share on where we've done that, and particularly when we're using the methodology of MicroMastery Live. So where we go with organisations, we introduce the methodology, and then we work with them and say, so what's your context? What's your payoff? How do you get started? What your purposeful practice? And then we go back after a period of time and review the impact. And where there's successes, we can share the successes and great. Where it hasn't worked, we can then amend and work with the concept of MicroMastery and help them people find the purposeful practice and the payoff for them as individuals. Okay, so great stuff. I just would like to, there is going to be time at the end for more questions, more comments, and to be able to extend the conversation. But I would just like to now share with you a MicroMastery and what a MicroMastery looks like. So if we say, in kind of summary, looking back at its fundamentals and we put them in a different terminology, as a leader, it's about looking after yourself, it's about looking after your people, and it's about looking after your business. So let's go where it starts. Let's look after yourself. So what we're now going to do is to share with you a MicroMastery on self-care. So here's a MicroMastery in self-care. So you will see that a MicroMastery is short and sharp. That's what it is. It's just 2 pages of A4. And we look at trying to understand what is the context. So the context we're looking at here is about the better work-life balance. And I'm not going to read everything that's in there as the context, but we're basically getting to the point of being able to make sure that people do have a better work-life balance. So how do I do that? Well, the first thing is to consider what's a payoff. Well, I've got a better work-life balance, I've got more time for others, I'll be more present, I'll have more energy focus, and I'll be able to do more things, dream more things, be successful in that way. So what's your way in? What's your aha? And you can see just on the left-hand side, it's create a self-care map. So this is where we put this in. We ask people to brainstorm all the things that they like to do to take care of themselves. Create a visual, easy to read document, as you can see in the top right hand corner, that summarizes the things that you believe that you can do, commit to in order to take better care of yourself. State it in the present terms, like along the lines of, I make time for. So the one that you see in the top corner there is based on the mind map, on my own mind map. And some of the things that I've got on here is like, I exercise every day. It's a discipline. I've also got on here that every Friday night, every Friday evening, I enjoy wine o'clock. That's me at the end of the day, end of the week, and I'm going to have a glass of wine. I allocate time just for me. I plan quality time with friends and family. So basically, looking at the things that I want to put in my own self-care mind map. Think about when you're at your best, and I'll be there again. What are the things that you put in your self-care? Now, the challenge then is, okay, so I've written all this down, I've made it nice and bright and wonderful, I've given my time to do that. I don't know if it'll last. Here's your purposeful practice. You put it into practice for the next 30 days. The next 30 days. You amend it, you work with it, you make it real for you. The things that maybe don't work, take them off. The things that you really want to push in there, make them happen. And by the end of the 30 days, you will then have your own personal self-care map. That then becomes your discipline about looking after your own work-life balance. Now, one organisation we went into, we created this actual micromastery for them. That was there. We need to get better work-life balance. So the way in was for every individual in that team, it was a team of 12, to create their own self-care map. And we got them to do it there in the room as a brainstorm. We then said, your purposeful practice is then to do it for 30 days. And as close as we can to 30 working days, we will come back in and we will hear what the difference is. Well, it was outstanding. To quote the head of HR in that organisation, this has been a game changer. People have now really taken on board the value and importance of work-life balance. And because they're working in a team, they're challenging and supporting each other. And at the end of that 30 days, when we went back in, they all had a self-care mind map that they had amended and changed, but it's real and it's for them, which gives them a better work-life balance. It gives them time for others, and that is meaning colleagues in the workplace and for family and friends, that they're more present, they're not distracted. They found that they've been more able to do more things for themselves. It gives them focus and energy, and this is the reason why they have better dreams. That was particularly relevant to one individual on better dreaming, on sleeping better. It's great. So my challenge for you is to create your own self-care map and work on it for 30 days, your purposeful practice, and then create your own payoff. That will help people in the world that we're in. Absolutely sure, it's proven fact. Now, again, I can imagine some people might be thinking, oh, it's easy for you to say and all of that. Here's a quote that I've come up with, the self-care map, because who benefits from the self-care? It's you. If you benefit from the self-care, so do your friends and your family and your work colleagues. So tell me you won't, but don't tell me you can't. If you really want to make sure that you take control and look after yourself, then here we go. So that's an example of a micromastery. We have a context, we have a way in, we have a purposeful practice, and we have a payoff. And we can come and work with individual organisations and create micromasteries for them. And with all those 9 audit points, we've actually got micromasteries that build in a development programme straight off and straight away. Okay, so at MLNC, we pride ourselves in always wanting to deliver an outstanding learner experience. So in this 45 minutes we've taken through, we've done a whistle-stop tour of our vision and view for the future. We're giving you that opportunity and permission to pause and reflect. We've introduced you to the context of micromastery. We've given you a mini audit to consider. Can some people just pop into the question box a 1-sentence summary of your learning experience? I'm not expecting everyone to be able to do that because we've got a good number of people on there, but just to give us an idea, and then we'll just close that up and then open it up for any other questions from the group. So first thing, my question to you, what would be your 1-sentence summary of your learning experience today?
The first one has come in, always be thirsty for more information.
Good, like that. That, in the world of learning, in the world of people development, that's a great answer for me. That's it. We have always got to be thirsty. That fits into the keep educating yourself. So good, thank you.
Another one is the focus on yourself and self-care.
Yeah, I mean, I think that certainly resonated with me as an individual and people that I'm working with in different organisations. There's so much change going on, and we do speak to a lot of people who are feeling the stress and the pressure, and everybody will give you the answer. They know it's got to look after themselves, but how do you look after yourself? And the self-care is becoming more and more important, and there's lots more press on it. Our businesses expect us to be on our A game every day. Our people expect us to be in our A game, and so do our friends and the family. So how do we get ourselves to look after? And people say, oh, you must be really motivated to have your own self-care map. I said, no, it's a discipline because it's important. Thank you.
Somebody else is saying having that permission to pause.
Good. We really appreciate everyone who's joined us today. And for me, that you're giving yourself that permission to pause and just get that hunger and thirst for learning more things, just to see things from a different perspective. So thank you for that. It was one of the key objectives I would have wanted from this session, is that for every participant to have an hour of permission to pause.
Another one is, I am just as much in need of my own leadership skills as others are.
Interesting. What I'm getting from that is that, yeah, if you want to coach your own self, then you would be developing your own self. So thank you. If I've picked that up correctly, thank you.
And this one is, I'm taking away new invigorating knowledge to put into practice immediately to continue professional development.
Great. Love to hear that. Thank you very much. And again, if we've delivered something, it's fit for purpose for you, and great. Thank you.
Yeah, and people also are saying how great the presentation has been, and hopeful that we could have a copy of the presentation to share with people that have attended today.
Okay, we can certainly do that. And if anybody wants to have any contact with ML&C to talk about the leadership audit, or to talk about MicroMastery, this new methodology, then we'll be very interested in having that conversation. So I'm just looking at the time, and it just coming up to 10 to, we would just say that we would open the floor for some questions, if anybody's got any other questions, and then I'm happy to take them into specifics. I'm absolutely delighted with the feedback, so thank you for your participation and engagement. You've clearly engaged with it all, and thank you.
Somebody has said that they're looking forward to going off and developing their own self-care map.
Good. Love to hear that, and please give yourself that permission to pause. If you're going to go and do that, allocate the time, 3 o'clock this afternoon or 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, whatever time you do, go and do that. That is fantastic. Great to hear. That's accelerating learning into doing. Thank you.
Somebody else has commented that learning to listen, consider and feedback learning with others is going to be important.
Yes, I agree. Surround yourself with feedback. You can only get better.
And a question is, are there any techniques or tips you could give to help leaders become more emotionally intelligent?
I had an interesting exercise with a group recently when there were some senior leaders in the room, and we just call it a virtual room. It was on Zoom, and I asked them all to explain what was emotional intelligence individually, and then come back and share with me. I think it was it 8 people was in the room. I had 8 different descriptions, and that then opened up the view. Okay, so what is emotional intelligence? Can we demystify emotional intelligence? So we've created some content in the form of a MicroMastery on emotional intelligence, and that's the starting point. If you've got everybody who's got a shared understanding of what emotional intelligence is, that amplifies your odds as an individual and as a collective. So we've got more information on emotional intelligence, and I think, along with psychological safety, it is high on the agenda of people getting to demystify what it is. So yes, we do.
Okay, thank you. And would you agree with the statement that leadership starts with everybody, but it never stops?
Yes, yes, that's where does leadership start and stop in your organisation? And if I think of we'll take it into the context of the football coach, and people would maybe see as I'm the leader, I'm the coach, and I'll be talking to the boys, but on that pitch, individual players show leadership and take that decision. And we're talking about 14-year-old boys here. They need to take that decision and take leadership on how do they take the corner or what position they go into. So yes, absolutely. Where does it start and stop in your organisation? And that follows on to what you've just said. Yes, I agree.
Somebody is also saying thank you very much for the presentation, and they thought it was beautifully presented, but they would like a few more pieces of information from you. So what I will do is I'll take that person's email address and I'll put you in contact with Mike. If that's okay with you, Mike?
Absolutely, great, thank you. Yes, when I understand that we've covered an awful lot of ground here in a short period of time, and no, we just want to be able to develop and help as many people as possible. So that goes for anyone else who wants more information. Yeah, please send that into Sue and she'll set up the contact.
And another question, how do you change management mindset to accept leaders are not always managers? And the example they've given is that the military lowest ranks become leaders very, very quickly.
Well, we're doing a fair bit with organisations to try and understand the difference to what is management and what is leadership. And that is one of the things we've got as a starting point. And some people are outstanding managers. Some people are outstanding leaders, and some people can manage to balance the both. But you know, I'm sure many people have seen this in their organisations as well, where people have been promoted into positions and they haven't been given that, well, this is what's expected of you as a leader, or this is expected of you as a manager. So we've been doing some work with organisations just trying to separate or blur the lines of the two, but people to understand their roles and responsibilities. And I agree with that comment as well, what they've said there. Yeah, I could see that happening.
I'm just seeing if there are any more questions coming through. I'll just give people a couple more minutes just to see if there's any other things that they'd like to ask. No, well, I think that's all of the questions we've had for today. So I think we'll leave it there. So thank you, Mike, for sharing your knowledge with us today. And thank you for everybody else who's joined us and been engaged and got involved in the presentation. It's been a fantastic session. Just to remind you all that the recording will be on the YouTube channel, the IIRSM YouTube channel, either later today or tomorrow, so you'll be able to recap on anything in your own time. So thank you again, Mike. It's been a really interesting and informative discussion. I hope everybody has a great rest of the day, and we look forward to seeing you again soon at a IIRSM webinar. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.